Okay, we have reached the final section for our discussion in analytic geometry, and we're going to cover hyperbolas. So if you look at this right here, this is the hyperbola. It's this right here along with this right here when you slice that cone with the plane. All right, so that's what we're looking at. And what we're going to do is we're going to sketch some graphs first, and we're going to use some tools, and you're going to need some tools if you're going to be sketching this by hand, but you're doing it on the computer, maybe not so difficult. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of examples and take a look at what it might look like. So this one right here, I know that this one is going to be this form because it says x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared. There's a different type, and I'm going to show you really quickly that example somewhere here. Right here it is. The second type is of y squared minus x squared. Y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared. So that's the second type. But it all depends on where this quote-unquote transverse axis is. And this one, the transverse axis, is on the x-axis. And that right there is what they mean by the transverse axis. Okay, so this right here, again, it looks funny, but it should say plus and minus a and plus and minus c. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the first example, and then we'll try to figure it out with the ruler and some tools here. But in order to graph this one, we see that a is 9. Actually, a square is 9, so that makes a 3. And b square is 64. That makes b 8. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw out some kind of like guidelines, if you will, so that we know, which direction we need to draw the graph and all that good stuff. So a is 3 is going to be right here. And let me switch colors on here. A is 3. That's a negative 3, and that's a positive 3. And then let's pick a different color for the 8. 8 units up and 8 units down. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units down right there. All right, now I'm going to use a ruler, and I'm going to pick a different color as well. What color should I pick? How about, I guess orange would be okay. Let's pick orange, and I'm going to pull out my ruler, and I've got it set there, and I want it right about there, I think. Try to get as close to that negative 3 and 3 as I can. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make it dash like that. And I think that would be okay. Okay, I can extend it, and let's do the same thing over here. Okay, now it's not rocket science or anything, but I'm not a great artist. Thankfully, this digital ruler anyway helps me draw a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to lay it flat like this, and let me adjust the rotation there. Oops. Jumping around here. All right. Right about there. So just what you should be doing is just kind of following what it is that I'm doing. And let me switch color. Maybe we could use pink now. We're just kind of drawing these dash lines, and you're going to see what it all means in just a second. So I'm going to do that there, and then another one right about here. Okay, right there. That should be good. And I'm just going to kind of draw dashed lines here. All right, and I think that should do it. Okay, so then what we need to do is always a good idea. You get a 45-degree angle here. And actually, I don't think it's 45 degrees. It's probably more like, well, let's see. Right about there. Not exactly 45 degrees, but then again, give me one second. Okay, so we're going to align it just like that. And I'm going to draw another set of dashed lines. You can barely see it. It's kind of faint maybe on your screen, but we'll see it in just a second when I do this. You see, there it is. And I'm just kind of aligning it. Now, it's not exactly perfect because, again, I'm not the world's greatest artist. Even with a ruler, I messed up. But that's typical of what it is I do when I'm drawing anyway. So that's okay. Okay, so let's move the ruler out of the way. And now what we're going to do, it looks like a lot of fancy work here, but it's actually not that bad. All we have to do now is be sure that when we are drawing our hyperbola, that we stay within the green lines. Those are the asymptotes. Okay, so this is the vertex, and it looks something like this, and it looks something like this, and this one looks something like this, and this one looks something like that. Okay, so the actual graph part is this black part that we drew here, and that's how you go about setting it up. So it's a little bit involved, and maybe it took a little bit too long. So I think I'm going to fast forward through some steps on the next example. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next example, and we'll kind of identify the points, and then I'll draw the guidelines without you having to worry about me going through it. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. So here is the next one, and the next one is a little bit more involved because the center of this whole thing is actually not at the origin like it was on the second one. It's actually shifted, and in this case it's shifted 2 units to the left and 1 unit down. Actually, no, 1 unit up. 2 units to the left and 1 unit up. So that's going to change a couple things. All right, let me make my ruler 90 degrees. 2 units to the left. So I'm going to create a new axis. All right. There's my new axis, this green line right here, and let's make the next one 1 unit up. So let's adjust the ruler 0 degrees, right about there. It's level. Okay, and then we draw another axis this way. Okay, so there it is. It's going to be shifted. All right, now what is my A and my B? In this case, A is 3 and B is 5. All right, A is 3, B is 5. How did I figure that out? This is A square, so A equals 3, and this is B square, so B equals 5. I just took the square root. So we're going to go 3 units away from the axis. So I'm going to at least show you that part, and then I'll fast forward through the rest of it. So we've got that idea going. 1, 2, 3 units. Okay. And now the last one will be 5 units up. So if it was at 1, the next one will be at 6. So let's draw that real quick and then I'll fast forward for you. Okay, so let me fast forward for you. Okay, now we're back. Our guidelines are drawn. I draw my parabola, or not my parabola, my hyperbola. Look something like that, look something like that. And so the black part right there is our graph. And let me highlight that in green just so you can see it. Just the black part is our graph. The rest is the guidelines that help us graph it. Okay? So we're going to take a look at one more example, but I'm going to just walk you through it really quickly. So let me transition to that one. Give me 1 second. Okay, so if you notice on this one, the hyperbola has its transverse axis on the y-axis, so it's actually facing up and down instead of side to side. Just real quickly, if I talk about a, in this case, a squared is 9, so a equals 3, and b squared equals 36, so b equals 6. I'm going to basically, let's see, what can we do here? If a is 3, 1, 2, 3, and let's pick a different color again. Right there, and then 6 and 6 right there. Okay, so we're going to use that as our basis. So I'm going to pause for a second, and then what's going to happen when we come back, we're going to have a beautiful set of guidelines for us, and then we'll draw our hyperbola. Okay, so a lot happens in just a couple of seconds that the video went like that, and we're going to draw our hyperbola. And it's facing upward, so it's going to look something along these lines here. Something like that, and something like this. All right, something along those lines. Maybe not quite necessarily like that. Closer. It's really very close to that purple line there. And it lays along there because that's the slant asymptotes, if you will, for this. Okay. But otherwise, that's just a little word on how to graph these, and it's not terribly difficult. And sorry for the long-winded video, but I hope that this helps. And as always, if it did help, be sure to like and subscribe.